So the next game, like we said, we're looking at ShtanUdachi versus Surrender. We'll take a look at their lineups, and let's get right into it, guys. Let's head on over to the review stand. All right. So what we see here is the ShtanUdachi's running the Cube Warlock, Highlander Priest, Jade Druid, Tempo Rogue. Slightly different than the matchup that we saw before. Surrender had banned out ShtanUdachi's Cube Rogue, as Surrender is bringing Aggro Druid, again, Cube Warlock, Highlander Priest, and Tempo Rogue. So we're seeing slightly, basically the same lineup. One is running Jade Druid, the other is running Aggro Druid. They've both banned out each other's Cube blocks. In this particular tournament and format, what we've seen most players do is they either ban the Q block or they ban the Highlander Priest. It's seeming that the Q block is a little bit more annoying for players to deal with, because we've seen the Q block banned quite a few times in this tournament, which is interesting. That out of the Highlander and the Q block, I would have said that each ban would have been at 50-50, but we're actually seeing the Q block being banned out slightly a little bit more. So I don't know how these guys' deck differ, because I don't actually have their deck lists available to me, but we can assume that it's going to be the standard meta decks. So let's head into the game and we'll see what these guys are locking and loading about. So in the mulligan stage, the ShtanUdachi's running the Jade Druid, while we see the Tempo Rogue on Surrender, keeping the Oaken Summons. Do we keep Surrender? Does he keep the deckhand is the question in his... He also has Coin, so Coin Minstrel is always a powerful play as well. So right now Surrender is thinking, with Coin, do I keep Minstrel? And then, of course, do I keep deckhand, knowing that he's going to pull patches and he has no, you know, a slightly lower chance to draw him and or a pirate to not be able to pull out the patches out of his deck. We'll see what happens. Oh, ShtanUdachi ripping the Wrath as well. So, is there an easier name instead of ShtanUdachi? Like, I'm just going to call him Jade Druid. It's just a tongue twister. Ooh, Prince in the opening hand. It looks like he got rid of the deckhand and the Minstrel, but he happened to pick up another Minstrel. And he has the Corridor Creeper in his hand as well. That's pretty intense. Surrender's hand right now is pretty good. The question is, does he coin into Prince, or does he go Prince and then just play the South Sea Captain and then coin into Slayer? It looks like that is the key. He's holding on to the coin, knowing that he's going to lose out on the additional 1/1 turn, but he's actually going to be able to coin out the Vile Spine Slayer potentially in the future. I like to see this this patience from Surrender. Most players instantaneously coin out the Prince. I like to see this, knowing that he has Slayer in his hand. He held back, and it looks pretty nice. So he's going to obviously Prince on 2, makes sense. But now he has options. He also can coin on 3 into Minstrel on 4, which is good as well. We've got the Jade Druid, of course, ramping with the Jade Blossoms. Use Jade Idol on turn 1 to make a dude and not shuffle. Perfect. Doesn't make sense to shuffle that early on. I see a lot of players make some weird, shitty... I don't know what they're doing. But obviously at this level of play, we're not seeing that shenanigans. Okay, so ShtanUdachi is using the Arcane Tyrant in his deck. All right. You don't see that in every deck. UI being pulled up. Definitely a card that you'd want to ramp into later. We see the Captain pulling out the patches. Does the patches... He trades his 2/2 into 2/2 and then 3/3 face? Or does he trade into the 1/1 and then either... I don't think he ever coins a 1-drop out of his hand. He saved the coin for a specific reason, and that's for Vile Spine Slayer or Minstrel. So it'd be really, I would not like to see the coin here. The question is, does he trade into the 1/1 or does he just go face? Looks like he goes face. This gives ShtanUdachi a chance to go Hero Power, Wrath for 1 trade if he feels like drawing. But I think we might just see the summons here. Or we could see the Wrath on the Captain. All right, so we're going to see the Wrath on the Captain. Does he pick the 3 or the 1? It looks like he picked the 3, and then he's going to clean up the patches with the Hero Power trade. So he decided to clean the board. He doesn't need to cycle because he already has UI in his hand. He's got these summons for turn 6, depending on how much Surrender throws up. Definitely going to see Corridor Creeper this turn. Ooh, Edwin pulled up. This could be a giant Edwin turn. Holy crap. We could see Corridor Creeper, Firefly, Coin. Yeah, we could see a Firefly, Coin, Creeper, Edwin for biggest board. The other is just to go Giant Edwin, go Firefly, Little Dude, South Sea Deckhand. But I like the Creeper, Firefly, Coin, Edwin. It plays around Spreading Plague the best. You already have another 1/1 in your hand. You're going on turn 6 soon, so the coin is actually losing its value, but you're actually being able to use the coin to utilize it. I just said utilize twice. To be able to make yourself a bigger Edwin. And as we know, Jade Druid has no ability to kill a large, huge, single target, thick fucking Edwin. Surrender. Do it. Make him a giant Edwin. My boy, coin, Edwin, Firefly, get it in there. No room for Firefly, I'm kidding. Miscalculated, but still a 5/5 and a 7/7. For some reason, I thought Firefly was being included into the bunch, but Firefly was not invited to this party given the fact that the guy only had 4 mana and I thought he had 5. That's why I'm a caster. So ShtanUdachi is not in a good position here. This is not what you like to see. Spreading Plague does literally nothing against this board state. He's going to use Spreading Plague anyway just to buy himself some time and not take 12 damage to the dome. I guess you can play the Tyrant. The Tyrant at which point can then trade into Corridor Creeper after the Corridor Creeper trades into the 1/5. The 7/7's gonna remain unscathed, which gives Surrender a good amount of time to either put damage in face with it or make some nice trades. So we see the Firefly into Minstrel. He needs to draw into more minions. He already picked up a Bone Mare. He picks up Swashbuckler and a South Sea Captain. The pirate synergy going on. We see the double trades. We've already seen one of the Spreading Plagues down, which means that Surrender is going to be playing around them not as much as he would prior to not seeing a Spreading Plague hit the floor. So there's the Oaken Summons. It pulls the Golem. The 4/4 trades into the Corridor Creeper because it ended up taking the 1 damage from the Spreading Plague, which is exactly what the ShtanUdachi had planned. The 3/6 is going to be able to absorb again another hit from the Edwin, putting Edwin down to 3 HP, making it so Swipe and Wrath are both effective. He's still 2 turns off UI. Surrender is 1 turn off Bone Mare. I really don't see any clean trades here. I guess we could go with the 1-drop Slayer and then push 12 face. I really like that. I'm really leaning towards like the Swashbuckler. I like the Swashbuckler Slayer, and the reason you play the Swash instead of the other one is because the Swash is a 2/2. It can't be hero powered down. It doesn't die to Swipe, and it gets buffed by South Sea Captain next turn. If indeed that you do not Bone Mare, because next turn he's going to want to Bone Mare, but sometimes you go around and you don't Bone Mare for particular reasons of maybe drawing something else better or just playing around stuff from your opponent. So he goes with the hero power. He's clearing it up. He's playing around the second Spreading Plague, developing the board, and then still pushing 7 face. Okay, he's holding the Vilespine Slayer. We'll see if that Vilespine can kill something better than a 3/6 later down the line. So if he would have pushed 12 there, he would have been at 20-ish. And then he would be pushing lethal this turn. Yeah. So the play that I had recommended, he'd be pushing lethal next turn, and ShtanUdachi would literally have to play the Golem this turn. This Nourish wouldn't have been... I guess Nourish for mana into Golem was still a possibility here. And then let's see what he picked up. He picked up a Backstab, which means that Surrender would have been able to Bone Mare a creature, trade into the 3/6, and then also again push 14 to face, putting ShtanUdachi at around 6 to 9 HP if you would have gone with the Slayer play. So we'll see what Surrender does here. If he decides he wants to use the Vilespine, or does he want to just push through it again with just brute force, like the Backstab, a couple minion hits, and then Bone Mare target to go face. It's also going to be interesting to see if he decides which Bone Mare target he selects, if Bone Mare is the play he decides to make. So he's, again, brute forcing through the taunt, putting the Bone Mare on the 3/4, pushing it to 7/8, pushing 14 more damage, looking at lethal next turn, makes no good targets for UI. Good plays from Surrender. The Kansamida hits the floor. Surrender played around UI beautifully, played around Spreading Plague beautifully. ShtanUdachi really not looking happy about that game. That's the face of someone who just got tempo rogued out. Oh man, that was a perfect display of skill of Tempo Rogue. Vilespine Slayer never even hit the floor. I was wondering what that Vile Spine was. I would like to know what Vile Spine Slayer he was wanting to hit with that card, right? Because he obviously wasn't playing it for a specific reason. He kept swinging in with his minions instead of just clearing off the 3/6s with the Slayer. But knowing that the Jade matchup, the Jades were never going to get that big. These Jades were still 2/2s, so it's not like you're Vile Spining a Jade. You already have board control, and if the Jades ever get 6/6s plus, you're losing the game anyway. So I really would like to see what, I would like to hear what that Vile Spine he was saving it for. Oh, Grill in the chat. Look at there. Oh my god, a cutie Grill. She plays Hearthstone. What's her name? All right, let's head into game number 2 here. So we have the Highlander Priest versus the Aggro Druid. Surrender has patches in hand, but he's obviously going to mulligan that away. He's going to probably keep Corridor. For ShtanUdachi, we have the Power Word Shield Raza in hand, along with the Radiant Elemental Binding Heal. Pretty good hand from ShtanUdachi, but probably not the strongest against Aggro Druid. He has no Wild Pyromancer, he has no Shadow Word Pain, he has no Northside Cleric, he has no Alkalite of Pain, he has no Dragon Fire Potion, he has no Kazakis. Those are all cards you really like to see in the Highlander Priest. Surrender still thinking very thickly about his hand. Puts back the Corridor Creeper. Interesting play from Surrender. Looking for just cards to play. He finds himself the Raven, the Mole, and the Tar Creeper, the Bloodsail Corsair as well. Really hoping he can pull a buff. He has no buffs so far. So his options is Mole, Pirate City, or the 2/2 Raven. I like the Raven. The Raven always is a very, very strong turn 1 play. The 2 attack represents it can kill a Northshire Cleric the following turn with a hero power. I would like to see the Raven come down. He decides he wants to go Blood Corsair instead to pull the patches out to guarantee he doesn't draw it. Another percentage play also. This play also is able to kill the Cleric if it does come down because he can double trade and still hero power. The problem is just this play. I guess it's good if he draws a buff as well too, right? Because he can play a Enchanted Raven, then go Mark of the Lotus and attack with 2 creatures instead of just 1. It's also technically an additional HP more than just the Enchanted Raven. ShtanUdachi really doesn't have much to do here. I mean, he could coin Radiant Elemental, Power Ward, shield it, and then know that he can go like Potion of Madness, Binding Heal next turn, but it's not like he's going to be taking that much damage where he'd end up wanting to Binding Heal this early anyway. So this might just be a hero power, or I would like to see coin Radiant Elemental, Power Ward, shield to start cleaning off these minions before they get buffed. That's what I would like to see from ShtanUdachi right here. It would be a heads-up play. You're losing the coin, but you're obtaining a sizable minion on the board that needs to be dealt with unless it's just going to keep trading into his minions. Decides to hold the Radiant Elemental coin back with the Power Word Shield. Values the coin, so he's definitely want to coin Raza on 4, and he's going to Radiant Elemental Power Word Shield next turn. But this gives your opponent to play, gives your opponent time to play the Druid of the Swarm or any sort of taunt card that they may have in their hand, along with being able to buff. Interesting. Lots of patience with these two players. Lots of patience. Hold on 1 second. Pulling up different music station for you guys. Goes with the Dire Mole Raven. Okay. Still has not drawn a buff. Goes with the Radiant Power Ward Shield play. I don't think... He could use Potion of Madness to clear up patches. But that's... Or, you know, he could clear up the 1/2. I'm sorry. You would want to clear up the Corsair. Yeah, and then you trade it into the bird. This makes it so if he buffs, it hits 1 less creature. Normally, you'd want your power or Potion of Madness to be able to kill up 2 creatures, but in this situation, he hasn't seen a buff yet. He can expect it next turn. He just needs to keep the board as tidy as possible because he still has not seemingly drawn an AoE effect yet. And this Radiant Elemental, he also doesn't want it to die that easily. So I like the Potion of Madness there. There's the Tar Creeper. That's going to be a bit annoying. That's going to be really annoying. He's going to hope... I guess a Silence wouldn't be a bad draw here because it allows him to attack around this this Tar Creeper. There's the Alkali of Pain. His turn 4 will consist of Coin Raza, which means this turn is either going to be Alkali of Pain or Curious Glimmerroot. Or we could see as far as attacking with the Radiant Elemental, bringing down the Tar Creeper to 3 HP, binding heal up the Radiant Elemental, healing himself as well because he's already at 23, and then throwing down a Glimmerroot so he can be able to trade into that Tar Creeper next turn to be able to finally push through and start hitting some of these smaller minions. Really thinking hard. I mean, he's committed to saving coin for Raza, so we know that's not an option here. It's just, okay, so he goes with the Curious Glimmerroot. If he gets a buff, he could coin Mark of the Lotus. He finds the Enchanted Raven. So he coins Raven, or he just holds it back. Okay, he holds it back, again, saving it for Raza. Makes sense. He goes as the Binding Heal, again, healing his guy back up. This is the first play we had mentioned that was probably the most viable play. So this now allows his Curious Glimmerroot to trade into the Tar Creeper on the upcoming turn. Radiant Elemental can make its way through. He can then go coin Raza and then be able to probably heal his Radiant Elemental back up because he's still sitting pretty at 28 HP. Surrender's looking at his hand. He's got the option to basically play the Swarmer. Does he want to play it in attack mode or the poisonous mode and or taunt mode? And then from there, he's going to probably Mark of the Lotus. And then from there, does he trade? And then what does he trade into? I would honestly like to see... this is a hard one. I think taunt is probably better here because it's going to be able to take a beating. The poisonous will just die to a single hit from the Curious Glimmer. He goes poisonous, okay. And then does the 3-2 trade into the 3-3? Because if he leaves the Curious Glimmerroot alive, his Tar Creeper... Oh, he doesn't go down because of the Mark of the Lotus. He decides to trade into Radiant Elemental instead. Ooh, interesting trades. Good plays from Surrender. Good plays from Surrender. He goes for the Loot Hoarder, Shadow Ward, Pain play. Because he picked Poisonous, it made it so if he coined Raza out, which Surrender knows he's been holding on to coin this entire game, and he could have coined earlier for other potential bursts like the Radiant Elemental, Power Ward, Shield. And it's like, why would my opponent not use coin on these two cards that's going to stop the early game? He must have a good turn 5 play, right? Which would be Raza. So that's another indicator of he should pick Poisonous, which he did in a heads-up play from Surrender, paying attention to exactly his opponent and why or didn't she use coin when she could have earlier in the game. Very high-level play from Surrender. Hero Power into the 2-1 to make it awkward for ShtanUdachi's trades into the Tar Creeper. Goes face for a sizable amount of damage. ShtanUdachi already almost half HP. Surrender looking pretty. If he draws Savage Roar, he's wiping this board up clean. He drew Priest of the Feast. So Priest of the Feast coin Hero Power is an option, but it doesn't actually deal with the current board state. So probably the Raza Hero Power save coin for Priest of the Feast later. Maybe, hopefully, draw into a Circle of Healing because next turn things are going to get real ugly with this Living Mana. There's the Raza. Here's the heal face. Gonna hold back the attack on the Tar Creeper because trading in his 3-3, bringing it to a 4-1 does not really do anything. Druid of the Swarm, I'm not sure that's actually better than the Living Mana right here, so we may see a couple trades into Raza, maybe like the Patches and the 2-2, and then he could drop the Living Mana and then go face for 5, putting his opponent at 14 and pushing lethal the following turn. And currently ShtanUdachi has no ability to deal with the Living Mana that would be played this turn. So we'll see if Surrender does that particular play. Kills off the Raza, keeps the Curious Glimmerroot alive. And the reason the Glimmerroot hasn't attacked the Tar Creeper, indicating that ShtanUdachi has no way to deal with this taunt, right? So if we just get rid of the Raza, which is what can get through this taunt, you're setting up the exact same plays that you have been, and you've been able to continuously push face every turn. So What Surrender is super scared of right now is this Dragonfire Potion. So I suppose you could go with the taunt here, protecting your little minions. And if he has Dragonfire, he'll use it, and then you refill with the Living Mana. But what we know is ShtanUdachi doesn't have Dragonfire Potion. So this, I guess this play still keeps lethal and gives him the out of the Living Mana. Which was a good play, right? Because this play, if he Dragonfires, you refill. But if we would have gone Living Mana and he Dragonfires, we have no refill. And this way, we're still pushing lethal because he made that card a taunt and they can't attack the little minions, right? Because Raza now has to go into either the 4-4 or the 1-5, which we'll probably see the Raza go into the 4-4. No. The Raza might go into the 4-4 and the 3-3 into the 1-5, and he still doesn't push through. But then if he heals to 10, he's pushing 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. So technically, Surrender doesn't have lethal this turn if ShtanUdachi kills the 4-4 and the 1. Oh shit, that is lethal. All right, never mind. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's exactly. Oh my god. Because the 1-5 doesn't die because you would be trading your 5-5 into the 4-4. That's right. So ShtanUdachi has to heal with the Priest of the Feast. And he chooses to do so, identifying that he's not going to be able to get through this walls of taunt. So there's the coin, the heal, the trade, the Alkalite. Can Surrender top deck some damage? Does he have Lethal in his sights? Bloodsail is not going to get there. And this is where it kind of gets a little spooky. I mean, look at ShtanUdachi's board. The Priest of the Feast, little does Surrender know, isn't gonna heal anymore because he doesn't have spells in his hand, but it's still a relevant 3 HP heal a turn, plus the hero power that allows him to heal for 2 every turn for free. This is a really tough spot for Surrender doing because he ended up not being able to top deck any form of damage. Wow. So what will the trades be? I'm not sure. I feel like hero powering Raza is the first thing that happens. And then the second is, do you ignore Priest of the Feast, or do you go in there and just hit him in the noggin? If you say, hey, you have spells, you got it, or if you don't got spells, you don't got it. And then does the Dire Mole trade into the 3-2? Because right now, the Priest of the Feast is going to be able to... Oh, he's going for the Priest of the Feast kill? No way. I would like to see the 2-2 Mole go into the 3-2, the Corsair being played, and go face for... Oh, shit. He's going for the Living Mana play. Oh, man. Top decks the Scream. The max punishment for Surrender's play. You could see Surrender's face in the hopes that his opponent did not get the Scream. And he's getting fucking reed, dude. God damn. ShtanUdachi, zero emotion on this guy's face. This guy is a stone cold killer right now. This guy top decked the best answer to that possible play, and you don't even see a slight smile. That's a face of someone who just doesn't care. That top deck was disgusting. And that's exactly what Surrender was playing around all game, was holding that Living Mana until he was holding it, saying, if you have AoE, you're going to use it, and then I'm going to refill. And then all of a sudden, he's like, all right, I'm going in on the Living Mana, and that's, boom, your opponent draws the fucking AoE. At that point in time, nothing's more triggering than that, folks. That is maximum fucking tilt sauce. Holding it, never seeing AoE, then playing it, opponent top decking AoE makes you feel like shit. So what I would like to see there is Surrender, as much as you got to play around the Dragonfire Potion and the Rees, is that if he would have played Living Mana the turn earlier, he would have won. But it's impossible to say, because if your opponent had Dragonfire Potion, you would have lost on the spot as well. So that was a super tough one for Surrender there. Let's head into game number 3. So we have the Jade Druid going against the Aggro Druid, Wild Growth, Jade Blossom, Nourish in the opening hand. Oh my god, Papa bless. ShtanUdachi is chilling. Surrender again with the Enchanted Raven, South Sea Captain, Power of the Wild combo. It'll be interesting to see what Surrender keeps in this opening hand. I am all for the Enchanted Raven, coin South Sea Captain, Power of Wild after that. But we'll see. Surrender seems to have some next level plays. We'll see which ones he keeps. Obviously, Living Mana is not something he keep. He kept exactly what your boy would have kept. The Enchanted Raven, Power of the Wild, South Sea Captain combo. This hand is crazy nay sauce, everybody. This hand is insane from Surrender. ShtanUdachi's hand is crazy in regards to ramping into UI. I mean, ShtanUdachi is going to be able to UI on turn 6 with a handle like that. You go Wild Growth, Jade Blossom into Nourish for 2. If he draws any form of ramp, more ramp, ShtanUdachi is going to be absolutely going to be crazy. But I mean, Surrender is going to be put down a huge amount of pressure prior to turn 4 with a double buff Captain, double Raven. I mean, these are two great hands facing off. So you cannot say in this particular matchup that one player absolutely steamrolled another. Both hands are definitely good. He holds back the coin on the second Raven to be able to coin Captain into Raven, Power the Wild. So you can clearly see where Surrender's head at is with the plays. So what we're going to see here is a coin Captain. Prior to that, we're going to see a Raven buff. And then after that, we're going to see a Savage Roar, another Power of the Wild. And it's just going to be absolutely... It's going to be ridiculous. This board state is going to be uncontrollable. If this board state is not cleaned up in the next 2 turns, Wrath off the top, ShtanUdachi identifying that Jade Blossom ramp isn't as powerful as being able to take out the South Sea Captain, which allows them then to hero power into patches. Perfect play from ShtanUdachi. Wonderful top deck. That was literally exactly what he needed to be able to stop what Surrender was doing with the cards that he had in his hand. I mean, because if that Captain did not go down and patches was at least not destroyed, this board state would have been... It would have been fucking go-go juice all over the place. There'd be no way anybody's cleaning that up. It'd have been in craziness. So there's exactly the same play would have... Oh, he goes for the Panther, not the buff. Very interesting. I like this. I like this play a lot. Because next turn you could go Mark of the Lotus, Savage Roar. Okay. ShtanUdachi with the... He can... I mean, he's just got ramp. So he has so much ramp, so much draw. Does he Nourish? Does he Jade? I personally would like to see the Nourish for 2 into the Jade Idol. But that's just me. There's the Nourish for 2 into the Jade Idol. Ya boy! Send me the championships! I'm just kidding. Druid of the Swarm. Oh, this again, Surrender with the super hard. As soon as I said super hard, he puts his hands up on his head. He is calculating damage over the next 2 to 3 turns based on Mark of the Lotus, Savage Roar, Power of the Wild, and if he does not play this Druid of the Swarm. So what I see here is he knows that Spreading Plague is going to happen at any point in time. So should he buff now or buff later? I would like to see a Druid of the Swarm into Taunt, Power of the Wild, and then next turn you go Mark of the Lotus, Savage Roar. But another optimal play is just to go Mark of the Lotus, Power of the Wild, or you could go Mark of the Lotus, Savage Roar. I personally like putting another minion on the board, buffing them all, hitting him in the face. If you play Spreading Plague, you Savage Roar. There's the taunt. There's the Power of the Wild. This is exactly the play I would have made. This is exactly what I was thinking. Holding Savage Roar, Mark of the Lotus for next turn, super domination. Next turn is domination. ShtanUdachi's going to have to do something here. Malfurion is something. Wow. Malfurion is a good card. Go Malfurion into Taunt, or he's gonna Jade Blossom and want a UI. If he Jade Blossoms, the game is over. I guess he could Jade Blossom Branching Paths for 12, putting himself at 26. And if he puts himself at 26, he's looking at 6, 10, 12. Let's say Savage Roar hits the floor. That's an additional 10. That's 22. He's got to go Malfurion here. There's no other way. He'd be dead to a Savage Roar. He wouldn't be dead, but he'd be mostly dead to a Savage Roar. He'd be like, he'd have like an arm left. So there we go with the Malfurion into the taunts. And then he's going to trade his 1-1 into the 2-6. Makes perfect sense. And this is where we see super awesome Go-Go Juice style. The question is, does he Savage Roar here? I would actually like him to hold back the... Well, if he goes Mark of the Lotus... Well, actually, he may not even Mark of the Lotus. We may just see him Savage Roar Hero Power. So one play is to go Mark of the Lotus. The 5/4 trades into the 1/5. You get the hero power and a 4, and it trades into there. And then you end up pushing 3, 3, 6, 7 face, putting him at 12. And then your taunt has 4 HP, not going to die to the hero power, and he still can't play the UI next turn. I like just the Mark of the Lotus hero power here. I do not like the Savage Roar. You go Savage Roar next turn for lethal. Savage Roar right now does not push the lethal. He's going for the Savage Roar play. All right, so this is where he does little damage. He pushes, I believe he gets him to somewhere around 2 HP. He gets him to 4 HP. That's double, but still good. ShtanUdachi is going to gain an incredible amount of armor this turn. So he can go Oaken Summons, which is 6, Branching Paths, which is 12, that's 18, plus the 4 he has is 22, plus the 6 mana guy he's going to get, which is 28. He basically went from 4 HP to 28 HP in one turn. And then you can UI next turn. This is exactly why I wanted to hold the Savage Roar. Because your opponent... He may have not played around it, because if he's like, he had Savage Roar, he would have used it, right? So I'm not going to play around Savage Roar because he hasn't played it in the past 2 turns. But when you play Savage Roar like that, your opponent knows exactly, they know exactly the kind of burst that you can do, and they can pinpoint what the other card in your hand is, right? So when you do plays like that, it makes it questionable. But also, because he's Savage Roar, they gave him the ability to play everything he played this turn with the Corridor Creeper, which means now ShtanUdachi has to UI the Corridor Creeper. He goes to 12, 14, 17. He's pushing 8, 13, 16, 17. Wow, what a play. It ended up being lethal anyway. All right, the Savage Roar into Corridor Creeper was the way to go, even though I liked holding it. Obviously, that's why he's at the World Championship and I am not. Incredible play by Surrender there. I mean, you can see how tense Surrender is. Oh my gosh, he put that piece of gum in his mouth so fast. All right, let's head on over to game number 4. Both these players incredibly tense right now. I mean, these are high stakes, man. They're playing for 250 grandos. So we got Surrender up 2-1, ShtanUdachi, Highlander Priest versus Jade Druid. We've seen this in the Frozen matchup. The Frozen matchup earlier, where Frozen was able to clearly outvalue Omega Zero in regards to cards in hand, armor, and cards on board. So we'll see if ShtanUdachi can do the same thing as Frozen did in the last game. Surrender's in a tight spot. Obviously going to mulligan everything away and look for his Raza Anduin combo, while ShtanUdachi's going to look for ramp into Malfurion, into armor, and then eventually Jade's to wrap up the game. But Jade should not be first priority. Armor should be first priority. Making sure you don't take chip damage, then armor. Because obviously, if creatures on the board, doesn't matter how much armor you're gaining, you're going to take chip damage. Anduin in hand for Surrender. Takes a deep breath, signifying that he's halfway to his combo already. Novice Engineer, Power Ward Shield, perfect cycle cards for him. No coin, no go. Passes his turn over to ShtanUdachi. Ripping out the Jade Idol, beginning the Green Men ramp. Northshire Cleric is quite annoying, but it's going to get cleaned up by the Lesser Spellstone in ShtanUdachi's hand. Unless we see the Power Ward Shield. It is played on there. Nice. Good shit from Surrender. This is super awkward for ShtanUdachi now, because his hero power, normally he would have been able to kill the Northshire if he didn't Power Ward Shield. But because the Power Ward Shield puts it out of range of any damage in his hand, from here Surrender's going to be able to trade in, heal his own Northshire Cleric, get draw off that normally is a little bit harder to get, only made possible because of the Power Ward Shield there. And this Northshire Cleric is going to be at least 2 extra draw. I mean, that's crazy. That's exactly what the Highlander Priest wants in this matchup, is free draw. And it has board to put in a little bit of chip damage, because even just chipping him in the face for 1, it doesn't seem like a lot, but as long as he can just get that armor down, the combo is going to be active, right? You know, it's when the druid has upwards of 45 health, that's where, you know, the Velen Mind Blast combo just doesn't do as... Oh my god. Raza, Kazakis, Raza, and Anduin, first 9 cards of the deck. Surrender literally could not have asked for better here. That is insane. You see him sitting up in his chair, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes, any misplays, wants to pick the best cards from this Kazakis potion for the highest percentage plays to be able to pull off a win in this normally unfavorable matchup. I would like to see... I don't even know. Deal 4 damage, gain armor, or give HP. I would probably go with the deal 4 to everything, and this one's most likely going to be deal 5 damage. I would like to see the deal 5 damage. But he didn't pick the deal 4 to all because it was still an option in the second round of it. So what was that potion exactly? They'll probably pan over it here soon. Another Oaken Summers, already at 12 armor. Can someone ban the pleb in the chat that just links some stupid shit? Do we have any moderators in here? I'll do it. All right. Deal 5 damage, give minions plus 4 HP. Wow, he really wants to keep this Northshire Cleric to live. That 4 HP is going to make this Northshire Cleric impossible for ShtanUdachi to kill. There's the Nourish for ramp. He definitely wants to be ramping into that UI as fast as possible. He already has a second Jade Idol in hand, which means he's going to be shuffling that one back into his deck. But he doesn't want to shuffle it back into his deck just yet. He wants to UI. He wants to shuffle it, then be able to UI. So we'll probably see a shuffle next turn. There's Raza on 5. Nothing really to talk about there. That's just casual Raza. Casual Kazakis on 4. Raza on 6. 5, 6. Same thing. It only matters when the Anduin is played. But it's incredible. I mean, he's just looking for 2 cards. Velen Mind Blast. He's even with Velen and Mind Blast, he's going to be slightly short of killing the druid in 1 turn. But it's still, I mean, this is the best case scenario. There's the shuffle of the Jade Idol, and exactly what we wanted to see here from the ShtanUdachi play is being able to shuffle that back, then UI to draw into those shuffled Jade Idols to be able to put extra pressure on them. You never really want to shuffle the Jade Idol if you don't have the draw to back it up. If let's say ShtanUdachi didn't have UIs in his hand, he would have never shuffled the Jade Idol first. But because he has the draw in his hand, it's okay to shuffle the Jade Idol. We mentioned that in the last game. Or I think 2 games ago. Might have been the last game. So Surrender's in a little tight spot here. He's looking at 2 3/6s, one of them actually being a 3/5. He's thinking about, does he Lyra? He has a Potion of Madness. Can't really use it though. Spirit Lash, Silence. I kind of like the Novice Engineer here. I would like to see what the Novice Engineer gets first. He also can think about Dragonfire Potion, but these 3/5s are these 3/6s aren't really something that need to be dealt with immediately, because you know ShtanUdachi is going to UI next turn, which means if you're going to Dragonfire, you should at least wait 1 turn, and or you can go ahead and Anduin the 5/5 next turn, and your Raza is going to die regardless, right? He doesn't play the Novice Engineer. He wants to wait to cycle with the Anduin for it. Okay, for the extra damage, which makes sense. So Surrender, knowing that his opponent is going to most likely be at upwards of 40 to 50 life, he's actually saving the Novice Engineer just for the extra 2 damage of the refresh of the hero power, knowing that it even costs 2 mana to play and he needs to cycle into Velen. He can't afford to give up that extra 2 damage. Very, very heads up play from Surrender there. That's exactly why he didn't play it. Surrender still looking tense. ShtanUdachi staring at his screen like he's going to shoot green lasers out of his eyes and blow up his opponent through the monitor. I mean, ShtanUdachi is a guy who, even at the best of RNG luck, he just stone cold Steve Austin, this guy. No smiles, all thinkedness. Aya comes down on the floor, very resilient to most cards except Scream. ShtanUdachi not caring for Scream at the moment. Stan says, hey man, you have Scream, you have it. If not, you're gonna have to throw something my way. Definitely gonna see the Dragonfire Potion hit the floor on here. I mean, this is like one of those great Dragonfire Potions boards. We may even see a Silence on Aya. He goes with the Novice Engineer, okay. Drawing the Pain, gonna Hero Power face an additional time. I would like to see a Silence on Aya here. Even though you could save Silence per Profit, this is a hard one. Because you either save Silence for the additional 4 damage with Profit, or you have to deal with the 5/5 that's gonna come out of Aya after you Dragonfire Potion. You're at 24 HP. And you're going to know an additional Jade's going to come out next turn, which is 6, which is going to be 11 damage. And you can take 11 damage twice without your opponent probably having a swipe, which means you're on a 3-turn clock and your opponent is at 43 HP. So can you afford that 5/5 living? Surrender says he can't afford that 5/5 popping out of the Aya because he knows he's at that point on a 3-turn clock based on what he's seen ShtanUdachi do. So I like the heads up Silence play. Even though he loses out 4 damage from the Velen, he knows that that 5 damage represents an extra turn or 2 he won't be able to live. Good plays from Surrender. UI coming from ShtanUdachi, gaining that extra armor, getting the 5/5 on the board. Best draw that Surrender could hit right now is a Shadow Ward Death. Tar Creeper is not a Shadow Ward Death. Both cost 3 mana, must have been confused. Surrender really calculating some damage here. He's going to most likely ignore the 5/5. I think the Tar Creeper will hit the floor this turn. So we'll see like a Hero Power Tar Creeper, Hero Power, maybe a Galaka Crawler Hero Power. And then we want to save Lyra for a turn that we're probably going to Spirit Last Shadow Ward Pain. We'll see if that comes into tuition soon. Wow. Going for the Void Form +4 with Velen already. Putting the Tar Creeper in the way. Is he actually? There's no way. This is going to cost him the game. He's going to swipe and Wrath down this 7/7 when we haven't seen any swipes or Wraths from him yet. This was a risky, frisky play from Surrender. He's going to lose all ability to combo. I did not like this play. Knowing how much armor Druid has, he went for the hope that his opponent doesn't have the Wrath swipe, but the opponent only has 7 cards in his deck left, and we haven't seen a single swipe or a Wrath, I believe. We may have seen 1 Wrath, but we did not see any swipes yet. Wow. That was a play. I think ShtanUdachi may have just wrapped it up with that particular play that Surrender had made there. I think this is the Lyra turn. Surrender has chosen this, so there's the Lyra. It's definitely coming out this turn. But Surrender has turned his game plan into a kill minion game plan after at the initial when he played Anduin, he was rushing down his opponent. So he's actually shifted gears into an entirely different game plan, which most of the time does not work. Yeah, when you have a matchup as linear as this in regards to what Druid does when it plays against Highlander, when you have the plan as a Highlander priest, you have to stick through it to the end. But look at Surrender chaining 0 mana and 1 mana spells off of this Lyra like a fucking boss. Holy shit. This guy's a god. Lyra just put in so much work. Lyra just did, oh my god. That was like the perfect amount of sprinkles on a vanilla ice cream. You couldn't ask for any more and you couldn't have gotten any less. That was fantastic. Lyra, good job. If he doesn't drop Velen there, he gets out-pressured by Jades. He does, But at the same time, you can still kill those jades without using the Velen. It just didn't look as pretty. So ShtanUdachi is using his wild growth to cycle. Now that he's at 10 mana, makes perfect sense. Branching Path's gonna go with probably the armor. Yep. The armor upgrades his Spellstone, which allows him to kill the Lyra, which is the perfect 1 mana clear you could ask for as a druid, destroying a card that generates almost infinite value. Surrender, looking at his mouse and keyboard, like, holy crap. Not only he destroyed my Velen, he destroyed my Lyra behind a taunt with spells. It's a bad feeling. Shadow Essence is going to pull a 5/5 that's going to draw him a card. Couldn't really have asked for better if Surrender in that spot. I mean, a 5/5 Blood Mage is good shit. But again, ShtanUdachi is still sitting at 40 health. Like, after all this brigade of onslaught of artillery shots from the Anduin every turn, shooting these little black missiles of death at you, you still haven't actually damaged the druid. You've merely just touched the outer rim of his armor, which is a bad feeling if you're the Highlander priest. And this is even with Kazakis on 4, Raza on 6, Anduin on 8, Velen in hand. This is how powerful Jade Druid is still against that particular deck. Malfurion coming down, only 3 cards left in the deck with ShtanUdachi, still able to live this long with this much armor without even playing the Malfurion. Now that he has the Malfurion, it's only gonna get worse. I mean, it's really, oh man, is this an uphill battle for the priest. Surrender is what looks to be praying to his monitor that his opponent disconnects. I don't think ShtanUdachi would ever disconnect because this guy looks more I feel like this guy, if his internet disconnected, ShtanUdachi's actual mind would be able to replug back in the internet with merely just staring at the cords. So I don't think Surrender's RNG monitor praying will work out for him in this particular matchup. Maybe against another opponent, but not this guy. He's going for the full field annihilation takeover mode, gets the Shadow Madness, healing back up, already at full health though, so it doesn't really represent too much there. Doing as much damage as possible, again, merely touching the outer rim of this armor. He may in fact get a little, I think he may actually get the tip here. He hits the tip of the Druid armor, or the health, he gets him to 27, he now has actually taken damage for the first time this game. There's the thumb movements we see from Surrender. Very coordinated plays. I just don't see how the Highlander priest is going to get there. Maybe the Mind Blast will show somewhere and the Blood Mage will stay on the floor. And maybe, I don't know, man, because these Jades are just going to get bigger. Currently, they're 7/7. He's gaining 3 armor a turn, and he still has 2 more Jade cards in his hand and a swipe, along with 2 Spreading Plague, which means chip damage really isn't going to occur. Shadow Ward Death was a fantastic pickup, though. Okay. Surrender is actually making a comeback here. But this comeback will come to an end once Surrender does run low on cards, because right now his hand is looking not as thick, but at the same time he does have 4 minions on board, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes Spreading Plague or another Jade Behemoth. Branching Paths number 2 for an additional 12 armor. My god. So he could go Jade Behemoth, Branching Paths. He chooses the Spreading Plague, Jade Idol Shuffle, Hero Power Armor, I believe is what's going to happen here. Because I'm not sure if he had actually shuffled the Jade Idol after using all the ones that he had used. Yes, so this will be the Jade Idol that he needs to shuffle back. He now has 4 cards in his deck. He has no more draw besides Branching Paths. But this is the point in the game where Branching Paths, you do not want to draw with it. He just needs to clearly gain armor to make sure he does not get bursted down by Surrender because of this hero power that's still... It's very, very strong, but eventually this hero power will wither down as Surrender loses. It doesn't lose, but, you know, has less and less cards in his hand. When he's top decking, the max damage that he's basically going to be able to do with his hero power is between 4 to 6. We know that ShtanUdachi is going to gain 3 every turn, plus the 12 he has with Branching Paths. It's still an uphill battle. Surrender did pull back a little bit and was able to get the inner rim of the druid health. But the druid merely just said, hey, I gave you the tip, but I'm not really going to give you any more than the tip. And that's all you're going to have this game. So Surrender looking for the highest quality trades on the board at this time. He pushes, gets through most of the Spreading Plague, but can't get through all of it due to the fact that each have 5 HP, which is an insane amount of HP. Their attack is not what makes these beetles very strong. It's the fact that it requires 5 attack, and of course the Tar Creeper, Galaka Crawler couldn't even kill one on its own. So what I would like to see from Surrender right here, or ShtanUdachi right here, is thinking about the swipe. I would really like to see a swipe taking out either the Priest of the Feast, the Tar Creeper, and or the Blood Mage. It looks like he's going to be able to clean up the Blood Mage and the Tar Creeper while killing Galaka Crawler, gaining armor. I mean, this is a board swing that this ShtanUdachi was exactly looking for. This Priest of the Feast doesn't really matter at the moment because the fact that Surrender is still at 30 life, it doesn't... Him healing makes no significant impact. Cards that increase spell power, cards that have taunt that you can't get through, are exactly what ShtanUdachi wants to get rid of at the moment. So he's going to continue Void Forming Face. He's going to, if Surrender gets a Jade Idol here, we could see a small comeback. Oh my god, a Jade Idol appears on the screen! A wild Jade Idol has appeared! This changes the entire game! Are we going to see Jade Priest, everybody? Is Jade Priest making its appearance into the championship meta? This game just turned around completely, chat. That is some fucking dank-ass corridor. What corridor? Curious Glimmer Root, Rob! You're a caster! Know the names! Pushing more damage. Loot Hoarder hits the floor. Will we see the shuffled Jade Idol back this possible turn? It's interesting to see what he's going to do. He's thinking about that Jade Idol. It looks juicy, but I don't think he's going to play it this turn. He does not. He has 7 cards left. I think he's going to want to find a little bit more cycle, and he doesn't want to reveal to ShtanUdachi that he actually got the Jade Idol, the best possible card that Curious Glimmerroot could have gotten him in this particular matchup. I mean, that's just insane. So what we see now is a Jade army. The Branching Path's obviously going to generate some armor. I do not think he goes for the card draw in this situation because the card draw is minuscule. All he wants to do is just make sure he doesn't die. He rips the Spreading Plague to protect him. We may actually see this 8-8 go face. We may see it hit a 3-3. It hits the 3-3 to make sure that these Scarab Beetles can live as long as possible. That makes perfect sense. He's controlling the board. Eventually, Surrender will not be able to deal with the amount of pressure that these Jades are going to be whipping out due to the fact that they're already 8-8 and 9-9s. I mean, that's just insane. The Scream is going to put back an 8-8. The Priest of the Feast doesn't make up too much, but it's still pretty annoying for the Priest because if he puts the Priest of the Feast back into the Druid's deck, the Druid still has the Jade Idols, which is going to give him 3 HP at least, which is almost, he has to use 2 of his Anduin hero powers to make up for the deficit of him healing for 3. So this is going to be it's going to be a tough one. He's going to Jade Idol shuffle here. And then he's going to go with just the Wild Pyromancer. Oh, he's going to go with just the 1/1. He's not even going to go with the shuffle. I guess he identifies that if he goes with the shuffle, he's never out ramping the Jades in response to the Jade Druid because the Jade Druid is already at the 9/9s. Okay, makes sense. again, it's I don't know, man. I don't think the priest has the burst to get through this. I mean, the jades are just so big. He's gaining 3 armor a turn. The priest doesn't have enough cycle to be able to... Oh, shit, the Acolyte of Pain is cycle, baby. But not enough. I would have really liked to see him shuffle the Jade Idols. I would have really liked to see the shuffling of the Jade Idols. Because it's exactly the same. Because if you shuffle a Jade Idol, right, you're putting 3 cards in your deck, you don't fatigue, and you're still using your hero power. When you summon a 1/1 Jade, you're only putting a 1/1 on the board. It does the same exact thing as shuffling, but you just put a 1/1, but the 1/1 doesn't matter. All you care about is cards in the deck. And Surrender is going to run out. He is going to run out. Like, look at this. If he would have shuffled the Jade Idols right here, imagine the Wild Pyromancer triggering on the Acolyte of Pain, drawing into more Jade Idols, using his hero power multiple times. I think that would have actually been able to push lethal if he would have shuffled the Jade Idols right here. He still has 4 mana remaining, and he would have had 2 Jade Idols in hand, which would have been both a 1/1 and a 2/2 that need to be dealt with because he's at 30 life, saving him the life. And then he would have been able to draw an extra card with the Acolyte, pushing another 6 damage the following turn. And he would have only been at 12. It would have definitely been... He would have been able to be in this game right now if he would have shuffled those Jade Idols. That Acolyte Wild Pyromancer was an incredible play. Plus, he had Circle of Healing. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, that was so viable. Surrender, look at him. He realizes that he's thinking right now, 3 Jade Idols above my head and they're all gone because I just decided to play it instead. I mean, I'm sure he had a clear thought in mind that, you know, playing it was what he should have done, but he sees it. You can see it on his face right now, that shuffling. He's like, I got Jade Idol. The RNG gods have given me the gift of foreverness. And I threw it away. I threw it away. I mean, they're tough stakes, everybody, those. Everybody's going to make some mistakes, you know? I mean, even at high-level play at the World Championship, everybody, when you're playing on a group stage like this, some of the highest competitive players in the game right now, $250,000 on the line, you know, your boy, there's going to be some goosing going around, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be, and then the Mind Blast, that would have been it, guaranteed, folks, with the Wild Pyro, Jade Idol, Mind Blast turn, that we would have easily been able to see a comeback from Surrender in this almost impossible matchup. Unless this is just lethal. Is this actually lethal with the Mind Blast? No way. Oh my god. The lethal with the last card in his deck. Cleaning up the victory 3-1 without the shuffle. Unbelievable. Wow. His head's about to explode. He looks about, he's gonna fucking cry. He's so happy. What an intense game against ShtanUdachi. Holy shit. The young Padawan made it through to the finals, semifinals against Tom's 6229 Frozen and Jason Zhao. What a game. What a game. Incredible display of RNG Curious Glimmer Root skill.